My name is Comfort Ahaido. Media interview of Dr. Mercy OGECHUKWU Gabriel, a video by 3 members of the Community Student Creative Writers Club, CWC. Ma, good morning, ma. I am very pleased to be with you this day. My name is Comfort Ahaido. With me are 2 other members of the Community Student Creative Writers Club, CWC, a past project you created as an author.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Good morning, ma. My name is Victor Ohaido. I wish you a happy celebration of the International Widows Day.
Thank you.
Ma, today, 23rd June, is a day set aside every year to celebrate the International Widows Day. Why is this day special and why is it important to you?
Well, this day, 23rd of June, every year is a day set aside by the United Nations to celebrate the International Widows Day. Prior to this, there have been challenges that confront widows in different communities across the universe, especially in the developing world, Africa as a whole. We have several practices and things that people do that are harmful to widows. So many widows are also among the poorest of the poor when you calculate the poverty rate in the world. It is like the image of widow is being taken as the image of poverty, which actually is not what it's supposed to be. That when somebody loses a husband, probably that person is the breadwinner of the family and she's now left with the children to struggle or to continue with her life, and other challenges come to compound the issue and make life more tougher for the person to pass through this phase, to be able to regain her bearing and continue with the life that God has given her and become all that God has created her to be. Widowhood should not be something that we will now see as a cause, a disease, or a crime, because God has not criminalized it. So that's why it is especially important to me. Being a widow for 17 years, I have my own practical experiences working with other widows and my interaction with the society. So I was among the people that actually campaigned online and offline for the United Nations to grant that particular day as a day set aside to mark the International Widows Day, and also to have what we call a commission that will care for the widows. I campaigned online and offline and all that. So you see why this particular day is very special to me. It's like a dream come true that these things are actually happening. That we're not going to be mourning and lamentations of oppression, affliction, but we have to showcase the skills, the talents, the gift, resources, and all that God has given the widows to embrace all these challenges and overcome them and make the atmosphere or environment conducive for them, safe for them to live from this phase to another phase where they have to continue with their life. So that's why this particular day is very important to me, having been a widow for 17 years, 2004 to 2021. It's not a child's play. So that's why it's very important to me. Actually, it is my day. Thank you.
Ma, in Nigeria, some states have enacted laws to protect widows, while some states have not done so. How can the protection of the widow's right be granted in such states without the enablement?
Good. It's a very beautiful question. In Nigeria, like in other countries, we have many countries and many parts of the world where you have all these issues that have already been addressed by the law governing such places. In Nigeria, just like other African countries, some people also have come out with laws on widowhood to protect them and give them that social protection and ensure that all those harmful practices are addressed and that the duty bearer knows their responsibility as well as the right bearer, which are the widows themselves, the right holders. Now, in Nigeria, we have states that have already enacted laws, created laws to protect the widows. Such states include Edo, Bayelsa, Anambra, Imo, Ebonyi, Ogun, and several other states. But we have other states that have not done so. So asking why this particular group have created or enacted laws that will protect widows, why the other ones have not done so? How can the widows be protected in such places without this law? Let me tell you that even in states where these particular laws are created, that there's a difference between having a law as is written down and law that is in practice. Having it in practice means fulfilling those things that are written down and ensuring that widows are protected. Not just in documents, write it in documents and nothing is happening. So that's part of the things that have been going on, even in such states that have the laws. Now, the ones that do not have the law, you cannot imagine from what is happening in the other ones that have the law, where these ones are not even having any for their protection. So, in the summary, why I'm saying this is this. In Nigeria, you have many people that are duty bearers, agencies that are supposed to be government agencies that are supposed to protect the widows. They do not even know when they themselves are being used, or they purposely connive with the people that are supposed to that are not violating the right of these widows. There are such agencies that are supposed to be National Human Rights Commission, what they call them, National Human Rights Commission, Legal Aid Council, Women Affairs, what they call this other one, Public Complaint Commission, and several others that has one thing or to do with social protection. You find out that even such parastatals, you feel the people that are supposed to be working there have not been permitted by the people violating the rights of these widows to use them as either individual or as that particular agencies to be able to carry out either their retaliatory schemes, vengeful atrocities and oppressions that channel through such agencies for hurt, design and using such agencies and even government apparatus and all that to be harassing a widow. I'm not talking out of theory. I'm talking out of personal experience. Are you getting it? I've seen a situation where widows that are supposed to be protected by agencies are now being the other people that are working in the government or agencies are now the ones siding the people that are harassing and intimidating these widows. So these are the things that where the duty bearer should be educated. Continuous education, continuous enlightenment in such situations like this. When people utilize the government offices to now be a tool to harass a widow, intimidate her, oppress her, extort, the things that are supposed to be for her welfare, connive with other people so that they will now share those things while the widow and her children or her dependent will now be in lack. These are the things where the duty bearer fail, how they have done. I use myself as an example. For 17 years, this is 17 years, 2004 to 2007, 2021, 2004 to 2021. It's 17 years of being a widow. My late husband was Professor Gabriel, Ignatius Ihukwu Gabriel. He was a Dean of Law, Faculty of Law, University of Jos. Before the government of Nigeria appointed him as a Honorable Federal Commissioner for Refugees. Now, after he had died, he worked for how many years and died in office. To assess what is supposed to be my own legitimate right, entitlement that is due to me as a widow, is a problem. Not that the government cannot do it, but if you are tossed around from one agency to another, from one individual to another, the government condoning and orchestrating violence against a widow for how many years? Conniving with people that have orchestrated this thing and making life unbearable for you. I'm not the only widow. There are several other widows this kind of thing has happened, because I took a march with the widows to the National Assembly on this issue of payment of dues and entitlements that are due to their husband. The pain of losing a husband is one thing. Then another one is to add to those pains by the agencies that are supposed to be the ones that will protect the widows, using the government apparatus to orchestrate violence, terrorism against a widow. For how many years? Now, my phone, my house, my residence was bugged. I was told, go and get to the Inspector General of Police. Go to the National Human Rights Commission. Go to EFCC. I've done that. All the letters are online, offline with the campaign. But has the government done anything? No. They didn't do anything. It's the same government that have laws that are protecting widows. So these are hypocrisy that we are talking about. That when we talk about International Day of Widows, we should not come and make it a rhetoric of saying the laws are there to protect the widows. What are the duty bearers doing to bring this law to be in place and make it effective so that the right holders will enjoy this life? As they bought my life, all the thing I was going from one place to another, from Inspector General of Police to the National Human Rights Commission to the EFCC, they extended to my elder sister that is staying with me, to my siblings. Now, the government under its own watch that's supposed to protect a widow is the same government that these people are using to hurt a widow. So the laws that we are talking about that have been created, how is it protecting me as a widow? Am I not a widow? So what happened? Now my elder sister, on account because she's staying with me, is now feeling the impact. Government under its own watch, instead of protecting me, is now allowing people to collect what we have worked for. Not even the ones that my husband has also worked for. My work, 13 books I published in Amazon, was vandalized under the watchful eyes of the government, even with all the notice and the letters written to them to protect me as a widow. Orchestrated violence. All that I've worked went like that. My elder sister that retired as a teacher and a headmistress, staying with me, Informer Susan Anyog, they cleared her own account because they have access to her house, bugging our phone and all the residents here. Under the watchful eye of the government, condoned by the Inspector General of Police, condoned by the National Human Rights Commission, condoned by EFCC because they were brief. I have letters signed, circulated online, which is showing what I'm talking about. So it's not enough to say you have created a law to protect widows. It is another thing to bring this law to make sure that these laws are effective. And that we're not speaking grammar, that will make it reality to the widows to enjoy this life. That we cannot use government apparatus to be harassing other people. These are the things that we are celebrating today, to show the duty bearer where they are making a mistake and why they should stop. Nigerian government should sit up. This is a terrorism against widows, and it is what? Violence against widows. There's no baptism about it, and I frown at it.
Ma, your husband, late Professor Gabriel, died on the 6th of June, the 6th of December 2004. That means that you have been a widow for 17 years. In what ways have you used the experience you acquired over these 17 years to help other widows to overcome similar or peculiar challenges associated to widows in Nigeria and other places?
Okay, my experiences as a widow. I don't like doing evangelism for Satan. So how I use my own experience, I use it two ways. One is through books. I'm an author. So I use my skills, my talent, my gift, my space, all that God has given me to put in a positive way, using my own experience to make sure that people do not repeat or learn from my own experience so that they can live a better life. And they don't need to necessarily repeat such things or allow such things to happen to them. I think that's why the Bible is there to guide us, correct us, educate us, and be this. So in the same way, that's what actually I have done. So my 17 years of experience as a widow and working with widows, I have put 4 books out for widows. One is the First Lady of the Universe, which is a play, a drama that shows widows as the bride of the Lord, and try to give them the correct perspective and image, to have a good image of who they are, whom God has called them to be, and to operate in that capacity so that they will be able to decide how others should treat them, having that good image. Not what people call you, but what God has called you and what you are. That is it. So that's it. That's for that particular book, the First Lady of the Universe. The second book I've written for the widows that articulated these issues has to do with the widow's quantum leap to greatness. A widow's quantum leap. It talks about issues of loan, access to loan, repayment, creditors' experiences of repayment, experiences of rent expiration, ejection from the accommodation where you are living, peculiar things that are challenges to widows that are, related. People can have passed either through it or passing through it, how they overcome it, how myself was able to overcome all these things, so that people can leverage on my own experiences and know that what probably they're passing through or they're yet to pass through, there somebody has been there, and this is how that person passed through those things. I talked about near-death experiences. I talked about loan repayment, access to loan. I talked about rent-related issues and ejection from property and all that in that particular one. So I talked about solidarity of widows, working with widows based on my experience. I talked about also this question of going to line up and getting relief materials based on what I've seen. Widows die in the lines, trampling upon themselves under relief material and struggle. I think that this charity, that the basis should be addressed. So all those things are what I addressed in that particular book. It's called A Widow's Quantum Leap to Greatness. That's a book, a collection of short stories on these issues of widowhood. Then another book I have written for the widows is a prayer faith too for widows. That comprises your spiritual life and then social, economic, and other things that has to do with you building yourself first, because I believe is that the spiritual control the physical. When you have been able to build yourself in, you can now shine out. That's the way. That's that one. Then I have another one. It is a playing card. That playing card is designed for widows, and it has over 72 scriptures. It's a playing card, a friendly tool. So that tool is supposed to be what? Meditation tool. Serves as a meditation tool. Serves as a prayer tool, a faith tool. It also serves as a recreational faith tool that you can play with others and have godly cohesion. While you are playing, you are learning and building your spiritual life. So that all the challenges related to widowhood in such areas, you know it even while you are playing, and you'll be able to use it to enhance yourself and become all that God has created you to be. That's from the book aspect, because I'm an author. On the social aspect and social empowerment program, I have programs I have done in the past for the widows, ranging from while I was even in Jos, married to my husband. I wasn't even a widow then. I had campaigns I have done against widows, violence against widows. I have empowerment programs I have done, living in Nansokoro and in Gwarimpa, where I live before coming here. On several occasions, I do not need to be sending the amount I have given and all that, but the economic empowerment programs, many of them got tangible amount to start business. Petty businesses that you can be able to start with 20,000, 200,000, 5,000, depending on what the person can be present. I have also on my own, that's from my own money, from the loan that I also got from widows, which when I could not have money to give, I went to AAA Microfinance Bank, and I was able to get loans for a group of widows, which total about how much in phases through the AAA Microfinance Bank. We got the money and we shared for them, based on the proposal that will help them to write to start their own businesses. Apart from the socioeconomic empowerment, I also use my talent as an author to promote all this violence against widows, all these atrocities, all these harmful practices